I know that heavy, stuck feeling. What I observe right before any major breakthrough is a mountain of frustration. Everything seems to happen all at once. The frustration builds and it feels overwhelming, like you're swimming up a river, up a waterfall. You're seeking the results. You've done the work, you've done the journaling and the meditating, you're taking the actions, but yet you can't seem to hold on to that feeling of progress or results. That feeling is not a sign that you're failing. It is actually an energetic precursor to a big spiritual personal breakthrough. In this conversation today, we are going to explore exactly why this discomfort happens right before a major shift. I will show you how to navigate this emotional peak to get through the challenge. And then I will give you the actions that you can take next to help train your beautiful mind so that it does not pull you back into the old pattern. So, if that is something you're interested in, let's take a deep breath and dive in. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here and never seen me before, my name is Amanda. I am a spiritual, intuitive, ascension mentor, facilitator, and healer, and I have the ability to perceive energy from the cellular level all of the way to the quantum soul consciousness. I have been doing this type of work, including genetic emotional memory healing, including meditation facilitation, and many others for the last 15 years. So, if you're interested in any of those topics, please be sure to follow my channel and interact with this video so that the algorithm keeps bringing you back and knows that you like it. What I observe right before any major breakthrough is a mountain of frustration. Everything happening all at once, the frustration building until it feels very overwhelming. You are seeking results. You're doing the work, the meditating, the journaling. You're asking the questions. These are all the actions, and yet you can't seem to hold on to the feeling of progress. You've had your little wins along the way. You've had some big wins along the way, but there seems to be a repeating pattern of an anxious mountain looming in front of you. You sense it on the horizon, this very profound sense of building energy that you may or may not be able to place or identify where it's coming from or what's going to happen next. But you've actually put yourself into the position to retrain your default energetic mental pathways that your mind has survived on, and now you're developing new ones. This is scary. This can feel very uncomfortable. And therefore, the unconscious mind is slowly calling in the discomfort to help pull you into comfortable and familiar places. Now, this discomfort did not start this big. You can handle it over the time, but then it'll reach a peak where you can no longer ignore it or write it off. And all of the little shifts that you've been able to talk yourself through or around or explain away, you cannot anymore. That energy starts to feel the pressure, to feel like your willpower is starting to fade, where you just can't keep pushing through. Willpower alone is not the answer. And then it starts a feeling of isolation. And then the thoughts starts popping into your mind. Why am I doing this? Do I need to change my direction? It shouldn't be this hard. Am I doing it right? And right when those voices, when that thought pattern gets very, very strong and you feel like you're ready to give up and go back to your old habits because nobody is watching you anyway. That inner critic, very, very loud. This is what is happening in those moments. If you take yourself back to when you had the desire to first cultivate a spiritual practice, your mind already had an expectation of what that practice should feel like, what that practice should include, and it was already attached to certain experiences and outcomes from said spiritual practices. It starts off exciting, it starts off new, maybe a little adventurous. But as you're doing the work, you're doing the action, and perhaps not quite having the experiences that your mind was anticipating, the emotions start to kick in, start to get strong. Oh, you're following the wrong person. You're going the wrong direction. Oh, is this really working or is it not? Once you start feeling the self doubt, the mind then goes, oh, you know what? Let's return to what's familiar. Let's return to what we know. And then you will lose the feeling of desire to keep going, and everything becomes easily distractible. I'm going to go do this instead. But this is not where you are. If you are watching this video right now, you have already pushed through the initial doubt, the initial thought patterns that were pulling you into familiarity. So that is not you. Now you've done this practice long enough that some of these things are starting to shift. You've made progress in your healing journey. Your relationships are starting to feel different. And now your mind has to try harder because you feel the change, you feel the different. But that change is very threatening to the ego mind and to the unconscious that has kept you safe. So now the ego must get louder to protect you better. So here comes the feelings of the guilt and the self-doubt in effort to pull you into the safety it knows. There are times on this path where it feels unbearable. And it always feels unbearable right as you hit the peak, right before the breakthrough. And if you make it through this peak, this breakthrough where everything feels like it's happening at once, you will experience a profound shift, not only in your spiritual experiences, but your personal growth, the way you think about yourself and other people in the world. How you handle this process indicates how long this process drags out or how quickly that you come through it. Now, we cannot discount divine timing because everyone is on their own divine calendar. But you do have sovereignty over your choices and the timeline. Now, in order to get through the most uncomfortable part of the process, you're going to have to do three things. Number one, focus on what you want over what you do not want. When the inner critic gets really loud, then those feelings start to peak and they'll start to tell you that you cannot do it, that you should give up, and that self-doubt. No one's going to like me. No one's going to love me. This is too hard. Instead of entertaining those thoughts and just letting them run rampant, in those moments, you must acknowledge your own fears, your own doubts. You do not want to directly argue with yourself and jump into the opposite of the words right away, but you also don't want it to spiral or wallow in such a way that you feel like you're losing your foundation. So you first focus on what you want. Bring it to mind, write it down, put it on paper. Then, step number two, you're moving into acceptance. Acceptance looks like acknowledgement of the current state of being, acknowledgement of the negative thoughts, acceptance of your mind, acceptance of your resistance in the process. And then once you move into the acceptance, you'll feel a shift because you sit with it differently. And then you're going to move your thoughts into, do you remember the time where we overcame this? Look at how capable I am. Look at how strong I am. Look at how I succeeded over here doing this. And it is okay that I am uncomfortable. And it is okay that I am in resistance. So then you will start to tell yourself your own narrative of your own strength and your own resilience. And third, you want to remember why you want to make these changes and what it is bringing into your life. Fantasize about it, journal about it, dream about it, imagine yourself living in your ideal outcome from these practices. What is it that you're striving for? And then imagine the fruits of your labor already with you, already within you. These things will build and expand your tolerance and your emotional capacity to navigate discomfort. And then you'll start to experience the discomfort dissipate as you become comfortable. And then something amazing happens. And I have discovered this for myself many, many times, and we do this many times. And then I have had the honor of observing it in other people, because it is at this point that everything shifts. The way you see the world shifts. You stepped into new knowledge, you saw something from a different angle, new doors opened for you, opportunities come to you. Maybe you come into a body of new knowledge, but something shifts in your perspective, and you are going to think, oh, it was one day or one moment or one experience. But when you look back at the months of practice that you have dedicated to yourself, you will see the many little changes in your perceptions where you had a new realization or you had a healing moment. And each one of those little moments shifted your perspective just a little bit to bring you through the peak of that challenge, of that discomfort, and then break through to the other side, where you now understand yourself and you and the world a little differently, where you now feel something differently. And all of those moments that brought you here, that brought you to this video, that brought you to where you are on the path now, it is going to bring you into your aha moment. And this was by design. And then you will stand in the results of that focus and that dedication and feel that expansion. Then what happens after the expansion? Well, first you accept, you acknowledge, and you celebrate. You celebrate that experience, that euphoria, that sense of relief and expansion that is yours now. You love it, you accept it, you be in it. Allow it to shift your identity of who you are now in the world. You want to hold on to this feeling. Be in it for as long as possible. Now, the brain is a master of the familiar, so it is going to want to pull you back. What it has been trained to do unconsciously, even if it knows that it is no longer serving, your mind will still pull. But now you're going to have more time because your brain has had to create new pathways for you to have this experience. So your ego mind is now recalibrating to your new state of being. So the ego will be quiet for a time until the next big thing happens, the next big trigger emerges. This is now the time where your actions and routines can be reflected upon and shifted for who you are now, for this person today. Your spiritual practice grows with you for your evolution, for your embodiment. But it is all too often I see people stop either in the middle of the peak or immediately after. And because you are still watching this video, I know that you are not stopping. You do not walk a spiritual path to avoid the hard and the patterns. You walk the path so that you can remember how to overcome them, to embody your purpose in the world. Your patterns will always be there in your human experience until you choose to walk your whole life as an enlightened being. But if your new perception shift does not inspire you to take action, then your mind will recall old patterns and you will do this again and again and again. And I speak from lots of experience and understanding of these energies, of these watching these pathways in the mind. And the action is the anchor for this new breakthrough because you just awakened to a new reality that you unlocked for yourself. So, what new choices will you be making today to honor and embrace this shift, this new sense of embodiment for where you are? No one can make those decisions for you. No one can tell you what way to go. It is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I have included in the description box the link to download how to find your next actions to anchor and maintain this alignment that you have just created for yourself. So click the description box and download the PDF. If you got anything out of this video, please interact with it in some way. And if you are not already, you can check out becoming a member of my Elevate library. It is completely free, where I have cultivated a series of meditations for you to utilize during your spiritual journey anywhere you are in the ride. Thank you so much for watching.